The Garden of Forgotten Questions. A Zen Journey in 16 Parts. Part 1. The Traveler Arrives. In a time that could be yesterday or 1,000 years ago, a traveler climbed a mountain path shrouded in morning mist. Her name was Keiko, though she had begun to forget why names mattered. She carried nothing but a walking stick worn smooth by her grip and questions that had grown heavier than any pack. At the summit, where the mist dissolved into crystalline air, she found a garden. But this was unlike any garden she had known. Here the flowers bloomed backwards, their petals closing at dawn, opening to moonlight. Trees grew with their roots reaching toward the sky, branches burrowing deep into earth. A river flowed upward, defying all she understood of water and gravity. At the garden's entrance sat an old gardener, his face creased like ancient bark. He was pruning a bush that seemed to be pruning him in return, its branches gently trimming his wild eyebrows. "I seek the Temple of Answers," Keiko said, her voice hoarse from the climb. The gardener laughed, a sound like wind through bamboo. "Then you have lost your way. This is the Garden of Forgotten Questions." "I don't understand." "Few do at first." He gestured to a stone beside him. "Sit. Tell me, traveler, why do you carry your questions like stones?" Keiko sat, feeling the weight of her queries settle deeper into her bones. "Because they burden me. I cannot rest until I resolve them." "And yet," the gardener observed, returning to his impossible pruning, "stones can be a foundation or a prison. The difference lies not in the stone, but in how you hold it." Reflection. What questions do you carry that have become heavier over time? What if the weight comes not from the question itself, but from your grip upon it? Part 2. The First Garden Path. The gardener, who said his name was Master Sato, though he later claimed it was Master River, led Keiko along a path of stepping stones. Each stone bore a single word carved in script that changed as she looked at it. Why? When? How? Who? What? Where? "These are the 6 servants of seeking," he explained. "But tell me, who serves whom?" Before Keiko could answer, they arrived at a pond so still it seemed made of polished obsidian. No breeze disturbed its surface. No insects skated across its skin. "Look," Master Sato said. Keiko peered into the water and saw her reflection. But it was moving independently, crying when she was still, laughing when she felt solemn, aging backward into childhood then forward into ancient years, all in the span of a breath. "What am I seeing?" she whispered. "The person you might have been. The person you might become. The person you imagine you are. The person others see." He dipped his finger into the water, and all the reflections shattered into starlight. "Which one is real?" "All of them." "None of them." "Yes," he said then after a pause. "No." "Then." "Does it matter?" Keiko felt frustration rising in her chest. "You speak in circles. And you walk in straight lines, expecting to arrive somewhere." Master Sato smiled. "The circle and the line are brothers who have not spoken in years. Perhaps they have more in common than either admits." He walked on, and Keiko followed, noticing for the first time that the path they walked curved back on itself in ways that defied the space it occupied. Reflection. When you look at your reflection, in water, in mirrors, in others' eyes, which version of yourself do you trust? Why? Part 3. The Tea House of Paradox. They came to a small tea house built impossibly between 2 moments. Keiko could see it clearly, yet when she tried to focus on any single detail, the curve of the roof, the texture of the walls, it seemed to be in 2 places at once. Inside, a woman sat preparing tea. She was young and ancient, laughing and weeping, present and absent. Keiko's eyes hurt trying to comprehend her. "This is Master Yuki," Sato said. "She teaches the art of impossible holding." Master Yuki poured tea that was simultaneously hot and cold, bitter and sweet. "Welcome, traveler. I hear you seek answers." "I seek understanding," Keiko corrected, accepting the paradoxical tea. "Ah, a smaller cage with prettier bars." Master Yuki's smile held infinite sadness and joy. "Understanding is just another word for control. Tell me, what happens to a butterfly when you finally understand it completely?" Keiko thought of butterflies pinned to boards in museums. "It becomes still. It becomes dead," Master Yuki said gently. "Understanding kills what it captures. But what if you could know without capturing? See without fixing in place?" "How?" "The wrong question already." Master Yuki refilled her cup with tea that tasted like every season at once. "Not how, that implies method, technique, a path from here to there. Instead, try. What prevents me from already seeing?" Keiko sipped her impossible tea and felt it settle like truth in her belly. "My assumptions. My past learning. My need to make sense. And beneath those..." Master Yuki leaned forward. Her eyes held galaxies. "My fear," Keiko whispered. "Fear that without understanding I am lost." "Yes. And what if being lost is not a problem to solve but a truth to inhabit? What if the map is the territory, and you are both the journey and the destination?" Keiko's head spun. Or perhaps the tea house spun. Or perhaps both were still and only her perception moved. Reflection. What would you have to give up to see something completely new? What fear prevents you from releasing your current way of understanding? Part 4. The Garden of Dying Concepts. Master Sato led her to a section of the garden where concepts grew like flowers. Keiko could see them clearly. Justice bloomed in crimson petals, truth grew in spirals of white, love unfolded in colors she had no names for, and beauty wept nectar that smelled of every sunset. But all of them were dying. Why do they wilt? Keiko asked, touching a petal of certainty that crumbled to dust at her fingertips. "Because we are here," Sato replied. "Observation is a kind of violence. To name a thing is to cage it. To understand is to kill. Yet without names, without understanding, how do we navigate the world?" He knelt beside a withering plant labeled hope. "This one dies fastest in cynical hands. Yet it resurrects with every dawn, stubborn as weeds. Watch." As the sun rose higher, hope began to regenerate, its leaves unfurling with defiant green. But Keiko noticed something strange. It wasn't the same hope that had died. This one was smaller, shaped differently, a new interpretation entirely. "Nothing returns unchanged," Sato observed. "Even resurrection is transformation. The hope you clung to yesterday is not the hope that greets you today. Yet we call them by the same name and wonder why we feel betrayed." Keiko walked among the dying concepts, and everywhere she stepped, new variations sprouted. Her presence killed and created simultaneously. "I don't want this power," she said. "Then you must cease existing," Sato replied without cruelty. "To be alive is to be a violence and a creation. The question isn't whether you affect what you observe. You have no choice. The question is, can you accept being both the gardener and the blade?" Reflection. What concept have you clung to that needs to die? What might grow in its place if you let it? Part 5. The Bridge of Decisions. They walked until they reached a bridge spanning a chasm so deep that looking into it made Keiko's stomach twist. The bridge itself was made of decisions. Thousands upon thousands of them, each one a plank underfoot. "Step carefully," Sato advised. "Some decisions can bear your weight. Others cannot." Keiko took a tentative step and felt the plank hold. It was labeled trust. The next was courage. She stepped again, feeling more confident. But halfway across, she stepped on a plank labeled certainty, and it cracked beneath her weight. She stumbled, catching herself on the rope rails, her heart hammering. "Why did that one break?" she gasped. "Certainty always breaks eventually," Sato said from behind her. "It's not meant to be walked upon. It's meant to be admired from a distance, like a beautiful lie." Keiko looked at the remaining planks ahead. So many of them. Each one a choice she'd made or would make. She saw love and fear sitting side by side. She saw letting go and holding on separated by only inches. She saw speaking and silence touching each other like lovers. How do I know which to step on? You don't. That's the nature of the bridge. Some decisions bear weight only when you're young. Others only when you're old. The same decision that saves you in spring might drown you in winter. He pointed to the far side. But notice, the bridge reaches the other side regardless of which planks you choose. Some paths are more graceful than others. Some hurt more. But they all arrive. Then the choices don't matter. I didn't say that. Sato smiled his infuriating smile. They matter immensely and not at all. Both truths exist simultaneously, like Master Yuki's tea. Reflection. Which decision are you standing on right now? Is it bearing your weight, or are you feeling it crack? What would it mean to choose differently, not because the current choice is wrong, but because it has completed its purpose? Part 6. The Library of Unasked Questions. At the end of the bridge stood a building that seemed to be built from compressed silence. Its walls were thick with the weight of words never spoken. Master Sato pushed open the door, and they entered a vast library. But instead of books on the shelves, there were spaces where books should be. Each empty space was labeled with a name and a date. "These are the questions people meant to ask but never did," Sato explained. The confessions unspoken, the truths swallowed, the words that died in the throat. Keiko walked along the shelves, reading the labels. Takashi, age 42. Did you ever really love me? An empty space. Maria, age 67. Was I a good mother? Nothing but air. Chen, age 16. Who am I when no one is watching? A void shaped like longing. Why do we keep them? Keiko asked. If they were never asked, what purpose do they serve? They haunt us, came a new voice. Keiko turned to see a librarian emerging from between the shelves. Unlike the other masters, this one appeared young. Perhaps 30, perhaps ageless. Her eyes held the weariness of someone who had witnessed every human hesitation. "I am Master Lin," she said, "keeper of the unasked. And these questions have more power than any ever spoken. They shape lives from the shadows. They build walls between lovers. They poison wells of possibility. An unasked question is a ghost that never stops haunting." She gestured to the vast emptiness. "Your shelf is here too." Keiko found her name. The space beside it held dozens of absent questions, stretching back to childhood. "I could have asked all of these," Keiko whispered. "You still can," Master Lin replied. "It's never too late to give voice to a ghost. But first, you must be willing to hear the answer, whatever it might be." Reflection. What question lives in your throat, unspoken? What makes you swallow it down? What would asking it cost you? What does not asking it cost you? Part 7. The Room of Contradictions. Master Lin led them deeper into the library until they reached a room that hurt to look at directly. In it, opposites existed simultaneously without resolution. A candle burned without being consumed and was consumed without burning. A student learned by teaching and taught by learning. Pain was pleasure. Pleasure was pain. Success was failure succeeding at being failure. Failure was success failing to fail. This is where people come when they can no longer tolerate ambiguity, Master Lin explained. They demand resolution. They insist the universe makes sense. They want to know, is it this or that? Good or evil? Right or wrong? Love or fear? And, Keiko pressed, what do they learn? That "or" is the most violent word in human language. Master Lin gestured at the contradictions dancing before them. Reality rarely offers "or." Reality offers "and." You can be brave and terrified, certain and uncertain, wise and foolish, kind and selfish. The same action can be both destruction and creation. The same word can be truth and lie. A young monk sat in the corner of the room, weeping and laughing simultaneously. How long has he been here? Keiko asked. 3 days. 3 years. 3 seconds. It depends on how you measure. Master Lin approached the monk. He came seeking to know if he should leave the monastery or stay. He wanted a clear answer. Instead, he discovered he could do both and neither and something else entirely. The monk looked up, his face serene despite the tears, joyful despite the evident pain. I understand now, he said. The question itself was the trap. Asking should I implied there was a correct answer outside myself. But there's only what I choose, and every choice is both right and wrong. He stood, bowed, and walked through a wall that was simultaneously there and not there. Where did he go? Keiko asked. To live the answer he's becoming, Master Sato said softly, which is the only real answer any of us ever get. Reflection. What contradiction are you trying to resolve that might be meant to be held instead? What if both opposing truths are equally valid? Part 8. The Mirror Garden. They emerged from the library into a garden filled with mirrors. But these were not ordinary mirrors. They reflected not images but essences. One mirror showed Keiko as pure intention without form. Another reflected her as pure form without intention. A third captured her as the space between breaths, neither inhaling nor exhaling but existing in the pause. A fourth reflected her as every version of herself across all possible timelines, a shimmering cascade of might-have-beens. Which one is true? She asked, though she was beginning to suspect the answer. They're all masks, said a voice she hadn't heard before. A fourth master emerged from behind a mirror that reflected nothing at all. He was impossibly old, his body bent like a question mark, his eyes sharp as winter stars. I am Master Hero, he said. I teach the art of the empty mirror. He tapped the mirror that held no reflection. This is the hardest truth. Not that you are everything reflected in every mirror, but that you are nothing reflected anywhere. The you think you are is a story you tell yourself every moment. Stop telling the story for even one breath, and what remains? Keiko stared into the empty mirror and felt herself beginning to dissolve. It was terrifying and liberating in equal measure. Don't be afraid, Master Hero said gently. What disappears was never solid to begin with. You are not the character in your story. You are not even the storyteller. You are the blank page on which all stories appear. But if I'm nothing, then what's the point? Keiko heard her voice crack. Why struggle? Why seek? Why climb mountains looking for gardens? Master Hero's laugh was like dry leaves skittering across stone. Now you're asking better questions. The point is pointlessness itself. You seek because seeking is what this particular expression of consciousness does. A wave doesn't ask why it waves. It simply waves until it returns to ocean. He gestured to all the masters gathered around her. Sato, Yuki, Lin, himself. We are not separate teachers. We are facets of the same jewel, which is itself a facet of a larger jewel infinitely. And so are you. Reflection. Who would you be if you stopped telling yourself who you are? What remains when the story ends? Part 9. The Garden of Grief. Without warning, the scene shifted. The mirrors dissolved, and Keiko found herself in a garden of gray flowers. Each blossom wept. The air was thick with loss. "Where are we?" she asked, though her heart knew. "The garden you've been avoiding," Master Sato said quietly. He had aged in this place, or perhaps this place revealed his true age. The one you built walls around. The one you climbed this mountain to escape. Keiko felt tears rising. "I don't want to be here." No one does. Yet here we all come eventually. Grief is the password to the deepest wisdom. Loss is the doorway. Without visiting this garden, everything else is just philosophy. Among the gray flowers, Keiko saw shapes, memories, the grandmother who had raised her, the love she had lost to circumstance, the children she had never had, the dreams that had withered, the innocence that time had stolen, the certainties that had proven false. "It hurts," she whispered. "Yes." Master Yuki appeared beside her, no longer paradoxical but simply present, solid, real. "That's how you know it mattered. We only grieve what we loved. Grief is love with nowhere left to go." Keiko knelt among the gray flowers and finally allowed herself to weep. She wept for everything lost and everything that could never be. She wept for the weight she had carried and the weight she would carry still. She wept for the girl she had been and the woman she was becoming. The masters stood around her in silent witness. They did not try to comfort or fix or explain. They simply held space for her sorrow. And slowly, as her tears fell among the gray flowers, they began to change color. Not to bright colors, not yet, but to soft shades of blue and purple, the colors of dawn after the longest night. "Grief transforms," Master Lin said softly. "Not into happiness, that would be a betrayal, but into something more complex, more true. Grief becomes a kind of wisdom, a depth of feeling that makes all other feelings more real." Keiko looked up through her tears and saw that the masters were crying too, for their own losses, for hers, for the universal human ache of loving in a world where everything ends. "Does it ever stop hurting?" she asked. "No," Master Hero said, "but you grow larger around the hurt. The wound remains, but you become spacious enough to hold it without being defined by it." Reflection. What grief are you carrying that you've been afraid to feel fully? What might happen if you stopped trying to fix or escape it and simply allowed it to be? Part 10. The Well of Forgotten Joys. After the grief garden, Master Sato led her to a well hidden behind a veil of morning glories. The flowers opened and closed with each breath she took, as if synchronized with her lungs. "Look into the well," he instructed. Keiko peered over the stone edge. Instead of water, the well held light, shimmering, golden, alive. And in that light, she saw moments she had forgotten. Her grandmother's hands teaching her to fold origami cranes. The taste of snow on her tongue at age 6. The feeling of running so fast down a hill that she felt like she was flying. The first time she read a book that changed her understanding of the world. The color of sky on a perfect autumn afternoon. The sound of her best friend's laughter. The smell of bread baking. The warmth of sun on her face. Small moments. Ordinary moments. But as she watched them shimmer in the well, she realized they were anything but ordinary. They were the foundation of her life. The counterweight to grief. The proof that love and beauty were just as real as loss and pain. "We forget these so easily," Master Yuki said, appearing beside the well. "We remember our wounds with perfect clarity, but our joys slip away like dreams. Why is that? Because pain demands attention, Keiko said slowly. But joy just is. It doesn't shout. It doesn't persist. It's here and then it's gone. And yet, Master Yuki reached into the well and brought up a handful of light. It spilled through her fingers like liquid gold. Joy is always present, even in darkness. It simply waits to be noticed. The same moment that holds your grief also holds your capacity for joy. They're not opposites, they're partners. She let the light fall back into the well. The work of a lifetime isn't to choose one over the other. It's to develop a heart large enough to hold both. To be sad without being destroyed. To be happy without being naive. To let joy and sorrow walk hand in hand through your days. Keiko reached into the well herself. The light felt warm and cool simultaneously, substantial and weightless. She brought it to her chest and felt it merge with her heartbeat. "I remember now," she whispered. "I remember why I climbed the mountain. Not to escape pain, but to find out if anything else was real. If there was anything beyond the hurting." "And?" Master Sato asked. "There is. This. The hurting is real, but so is this. Both. Always both." Reflection. What simple joy have you forgotten in your focus on problems and pain? Can you allow yourself to feel grateful while still acknowledging difficulty? Part 11. The Council of Selves. They came to a clearing where 7 versions of Keiko sat in a circle. Each one was her at a different age. Child, teenager, young adult, her current self, middle-aged, elderly, ancient. "Sit with them," Master Lin said. "They've been waiting." Keiko approached hesitantly. The child looked up at her with eyes full of questions. The ancient woman smiled with eyes full of answers. "We've called a council," her middle-aged self said. "We need to decide something important." "What?" Keiko asked, sitting between her current self and her elderly self. "Whether to continue," the teenager said, her voice sharp with pain. "Whether any of this matters. Whether we're brave enough to keep going when we don't know why we're going." "I vote to continue," the child said immediately. "There's still so much to see." "I vote to stop," the teenager countered. "It only gets harder." "It gets different," the middle-aged self corrected. "Not harder. Different. Some things ease. Others intensify." And in the end, Keiko asked her ancient self. The old woman's eyes held the universe. "In the end, we look back and realize it was all a kind of music. Discord and harmony. Rhythm and silence. We spend our lives trying to resolve the dissonance, never realizing that dissonance is part of the composition." "That's not an answer," the teenager protested. "No," the ancient woman agreed. "It's something better. It's permission to stop seeking answers and start listening to the question." The elderly self spoke then, her voice gentle. "What we learn, what you'll learn, is that the struggle to understand is the understanding. The search for meaning is the meaning. We are not trying to solve a puzzle. We are the puzzle solving itself, and there is no solution, only endless unfolding." Keiko looked at all her selves, past and future, and felt something shift inside her. These weren't separate people. They were all her, all now, all always. "What do we decide?" she asked. "We already have," her current self replied. "The fact that you're here asking, seeking, climbing mountains, that's the decision. You've already chosen to continue. You just needed to hear yourself say it across all your lifetimes." The circle of selves began to dissolve, merging back into Keiko. As they did, she felt their wisdom, their pain, their joy, their fatigue, their hope, their despair, their peace. All of it hers. All of it here. All of it now. Reflection. What would your younger self say to you now? What do you imagine your older self wishes you understood? Can you hear them both and honor both truths? Part 12. The Forest of Paths Not Taken. Master Hero led her into a forest that shouldn't exist. Each tree was a decision she had not made. Each branch was a life she had not lived. She saw the version of herself who had married her first love, the one who had moved to Paris, the one who had become a doctor, the one who had never left her hometown, the one who had taken the other job, the one who had said yes when she said no, the one who had remained silent when she spoke up. Do you regret them? Master Hero asked. These unlived lives. Keiko walked among the phantom trees, touching bark that felt both real and not real. I don't know. Sometimes yes. Sometimes no. Sometimes I wonder who I would have been. You would have been you, he said simply. Different circumstances, same essence. The you who moved to Paris would still be the you looking at trees of unlived lives, wondering about the path where she stayed. He sat beneath a particularly large tree, the life where she had never climbed this mountain, never found this garden. There is a teaching in your culture about the road not taken. It speaks of diverging paths and choices that make all the difference. But it misses something crucial. What? All paths converge eventually. In this life or the next or the one after that, the lessons find you. The growth happens. You may arrive by different routes, but arrival is inevitable. The universe is patient. It will teach you what you need to know, whether you cooperate or resist. Keiko sank down beside him. Then nothing I choose matters? I didn't say that. His eyes twinkled. Everything you choose matters immensely, but not in the way you think. Your choices matter not because they lead to the right destination, but because they reveal who you are to yourself. You are not choosing your fate. You are choosing your character. So I could have chosen any path? You could have. You did. And in parallel universes of possibility, you are living them all. But in this universe, in this moment, you are here. And that's not failure or success. It simply is. Reflection. What path not taken haunts you most? What if you're exactly where you need to be, and the regret itself is teaching you something essential about what you value? Part 13. The Stone That Speaks. They came to a clearing where a single stone sat, perfectly ordinary, perfectly extraordinary. Sit with the stone, all four masters said in unison. Then they faded, leaving Keiko alone. She sat, waited. The stone said nothing. An hour passed. 2. The sun moved across the sky. Her legs cramped. Her mind wandered and returned and wandered again. Still the stone was silent. Please, she finally said. I've come so far. I've learned so much. What is your teaching? The stone's silence deepened. Keiko felt frustration rising, then anger, then despair, then something else, a curious emptiness. She stopped waiting for the stone to speak and simply sat with it. Being stone with stone. Being silence with silence. And in that emptiness she heard it. Not words. Not exactly. But something underneath words. The stone's existence was its teaching. It had no choice about being a stone. It didn't question its stoneness. It didn't strive to be a better stone or a different stone. It simply persisted in being exactly what it was, without apology or effort. And yet it was also slowly changing. Weather eroded it. Lichen grew on it. It was simultaneously permanent and impermanent, still and in motion, simple and infinitely complex. I understand, Keiko whispered. The stone, of course, said nothing. But Master Sato appeared, smiling. What do you understand? That I've been treating my life like a problem to solve. But it's not a problem. It's just happening. Like the stone is stone ing. I'm human ing. And that's enough. The seeking was part of it, but so is the ending of seeking. Yes and no, Master Yuki said, materializing beside Sato. The seeking never truly ends, but it transforms. You stop seeking answers outside yourself and start recognizing them inside yourself. Then you realize inside and outside were the same thing all along. Master Lin joined them. The stone is the greatest teacher because it doesn't try to teach. It simply is. And in witnessing its simple being, you remember your own. Master Hero was last to appear. You've traveled far, Keiko. Through gardens and libraries, through grief and joy, through mirrors and councils. And all of it brought you here, to a stone that teaches by teaching nothing. Are you disappointed? Keiko laughed. It started small but grew until she was laughing with her whole body, tears streaming down her face, but this time, tears of release, not sorrow. No, she said. I'm relieved. The mountain of my seeking has given birth to a mouse of understanding, and somehow that's perfect. Reflection. What would it feel like to stop treating your life as a problem that needs solving? Can you simply be like the stone without needing to justify or improve or understand? Part 14. The Return. It's time to go back, Master Sato said gently. Back where? I don't remember where I came from anymore. Back to the world. You cannot live in this garden forever. It exists outside time, but you exist within it. You have a life waiting. Keiko felt panic rising. But I'm not ready. I haven't learned enough. I still have questions. You'll always have questions, Master Yuki assured her. The quality of your questions has changed, but they never end. That's not a failure. Questions are the breath of consciousness. What do I do with everything I've learned here? Keiko asked. Master Lin smiled. You live it, or you forget it, or you remember it in moments of crisis, or you teach it to others, or you realize you already knew it all before you came. There's no right way to carry wisdom, Keiko. Carry it lightly like a bird carries a feather. Master Hero approached her, his ancient eyes soft. One final teaching before you go. Everything you experienced here, the gardens, the mirrors, the grief, the joy, the stone, all of it exists within you. We are not outside teachers. We are aspects of your own wisdom speaking to itself. This entire journey has been an internal conversation. So none of this was real? I didn't say that either. It's as real as you are, which is to say, real and unreal simultaneously. Dreams and waking are not opposites. They're the same experience wearing different clothes. The four masters joined hands around her, forming a circle. Close your eyes, they said together. She closed them. Now open them. Reflection. If everything you've learned was already within you, what does that mean about the teachers, the books, the experiences you seek outside yourself? What are you actually looking for? Part 15. The morning after. Keiko opened her eyes to find herself at the base of the mountain. Morning sun warmed her face. Her walking stick lay beside her. Had she dreamed it all? Had she fallen and dreamed while unconscious? Had she climbed at all? A child approached, maybe 7 years old, carrying a watering can. Did you find what you were looking for? The child asked. I don't know, Keiko admitted. I'm not even sure what I was looking for anymore. That's good, the child said solemnly. Grandpa says people who know exactly what they're looking for never find anything interesting. They just find what they expected. Your grandfather sounds wise. He's a gardener. He takes care of the garden up there." The child pointed to the mountain peak. "He said someone was coming to visit today." "Was that you?" Keiko's heart stuttered. "He knew I was coming? He always knows. He says the mountain calls people when they're ready." The child started to walk away, then turned back. "Oh, he said to tell you something if I saw you. He said, the stone is still there waiting. It will always be there waiting. And so will we." Then the child skipped away, humming a tune that sounded like wine through bamboo. Keiko stood slowly, her body stiff from the climb, or from sleeping on the ground, or from something else entirely. She looked up at the mountain peak, where mist was beginning to clear. She could climb again tomorrow. Or never. The choice was hers, and the choice didn't matter, and the choice mattered more than anything. She laughed and began walking toward the village, toward her life, toward whatever came next. Reflection. When you return from a profound experience, how do you carry it back into ordinary life? Does the profound need to remain separate from the ordinary, or can they merge? Part 16. The Garden Within. Years later, Keiko tended her own garden. It was small, just a corner of her yard, but she cared for it with attention she had learned on a mountain that may or may not have existed. She grew ordinary flowers, roses, jasmine, morning glories. But she tended them with extraordinary presence. She watered them wondering what questions they carried. She pruned them remembering the garden of dying concepts. She watched them grow knowing that she too was growing and dying simultaneously. People came to visit her garden. They said it had a special quality, though they couldn't explain what. Some said it was peaceful. Others said it was unsettling. A few said it felt like being in two places at once. A young woman arrived one day, carrying questions like stones in her pack. "I've heard you know things," the woman said. "I've heard you climbed the mountain. I've heard you found the garden of forgotten questions." Keiko smiled, recognizing herself in this seeker. "I might have, or I might have dreamed it. Does it matter?" "I need answers," the woman said urgently. "I'm lost. I don't know which path to take. I don't know who I am or what I'm meant to do or why nothing makes sense." Keiko gestured to a stone bench beneath a cherry tree. "Sit. Tell me, why do you carry your questions like stones?" The woman's eyes widened. "How did you?" "Because I did the same." Keiko poured tea, ordinary tea, but served with extraordinary attention. "The mountain taught me that answers are overrated. But questions, good questions, questions you live into rather than solve, those can transform you. So you won't tell me what to do?" "I can't. Only you can live your life. But I can sit with you while you discover what you already know." They sat together in silence, drinking tea, watching flowers bloom and fade and bloom again. And in that silence, the young woman began to hear it. The teaching underneath all teachings, the question beneath all questions, the truth that can only be discovered, never taught. That night, as Keiko prepared for sleep, she looked out her window at her small garden and saw, just for a moment, four figures standing among her flowers. They waved. She waved back. Then they faded, leaving only moonlight on petals. She went to bed smiling, knowing she would dream of mountains, and knowing that when she woke, the mountains would still be there. In the distance and in her heart, always calling, always waiting, always now. Final reflection. You've journeyed through this story. What question has it awakened in you that you didn't know you were carrying? Not the question you think you should have, but the one that actually lives in your bones. And most importantly, are you willing to live the question rather than demand an answer?